Joshua chapter 22. Joshua held a meeting with the men of the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and East Manasseh, and he told them, "You have obeyed every command of the Lord your God and of his servant Moses. And you have done everything I've told you to do. It's taken a long time, but you have stayed and helped your relatives." The promise to give peace to your relatives, and that's what he has done. Now it's time for you to go back to your own homes in the land that Moses gave you east of the Jordan River. Moses taught you to love your God, to be faithful to him, and to worship and obey him with your whole heart and with all your strength. So be very careful to do everything Moses commanded. You've become rich from what you've taken from your enemies. You have big herds of cattle, lots of silver, gold, bronze, and iron, and plenty of clothes. Take everything home with you and share with the people of your tribe. I pray that God will be kind to you. You are now free to go home. The tribes of Reuben and Gad started back to Gilead, their own land. Moses had given the land of Bashan to the East Manasseh tribe, so they started back along with Reuben and Gad. God had told Moses that these 2.5 tribes should conquer Gilead and Bashan, and they had done so. Joshua had given land west of the Jordan River to the other half of the Manasseh tribe, so they stayed at Shiloh in the land of Canaan with the rest of the Israelites. The tribes of Reuben, Gad, and East Manasseh reached the western side of the Jordan River valley and built a huge altar there beside the river. When the rest of the Israelites heard what these tribes had done, the Israelite men met at Shiloh to get ready to attack the 2.5 tribes. But first they sent a priest, Phinehas the son of Eleazar, to talk with the 2.5 tribes. Each of the 10 tribes at Shiloh sent the leader of one of its families along with Phinehas. Phinehas and these leaders went to Gilead and met with the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and East Manasseh. They said, "All of the people have gathered together and have sent us to find out why you are unfaithful to our God. You have turned your backs on by building that altar. Why are you rebelling against him? Wasn't our people's sin at Peor terrible enough for you? They punished us by sending a horrible sickness that killed many of us, and we still suffer because of that sin. Now you are turning your backs on the again. If you don't stop rebelling against the at once, he will be angry with the whole nation. If you don't think your land is a fit place to serve God, then move across the Jordan and live with us in the own land, where his sacred tent is located. But don't rebel against our God or against us by building another altar besides the own altar. Don't you remember what happened when Achan was unfaithful and took some of the things that belonged to God? This made God angry with the entire nation. Achan died because he sinned, but he also caused the death of many others. The tribes of Reuben, Gad, and East Manasseh answered, "Is the greatest God. We ask him to be our witness, because he knows whether or not we were rebellious or unfaithful when we built that altar. If we were unfaithful, then we pray that God won't rescue us today. Let us tell you why we built that altar, and we ask that to punish us if we are lying. We didn't build it so we could turn our backs on them. We didn't even build it so we could offer animal or grain sacrifices to please thee or ask his blessing. We built that altar because we were worried. Someday your descendants might tell our descendants, they made the Jordan River the boundary between us Israelites and you people of Reuben and Gad. Thee is Israel's God, but you're not part of Israel, so you can't take part in worshipping the. Your descendants might say that and try to make our descendants stop worshipping and obeying the. That's why we decided to build the altar. It isn't for offering sacrifices, not even sacrifices to please the. To build another altar for offering sacrifices would be the same as turning our backs on thee and rebelling against him. We could never do that. No, we built the altar to remind us and you and the generations to come that we will worship the. And so we will keep bringing our sacrifices to the altar, there in front of his sacred tent. Now your descendants will never be able to say to our descendants, you can't worship the, but if they do say this, our descendants can answer back, look at this altar our ancestors built. It's like the altar, but it isn't for offering sacrifices. It's here to remind us and you that we belong to the, just as much as you do. Phinehas and the clan leaders were pleased when they heard the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and East Manasseh explain why they had built the altar. Then Phinehas told them, "Today we know that thee is helping us. You have not been unfaithful to him, and this means that thou will not be angry with us." Phinehas and the clan leaders left Gilead and went back to Canaan to tell the Israelites about their meeting with the Reuben and Gad tribes. The Israelites were happy and praised God. There was no more talk about going to war and wiping out the tribes of Reuben and Gad. The people of Reuben and Gad named the altar, a reminder to us all that thee is our God. Numbers chapter 32 verses 34 to 42. The tribe of Gad rebuilt the towns of Deepen, Ataroth, Aroer, Atroth-Shaphan, Jazer, Jogbehah, Beth-Nimrah, and Beth-Haran. They built walls around them and also built places to keep their sheep and goats. The tribe of Reuben rebuilt Heshbon, Eleli, Kiriathaim, Sibmah, as well as the towns that used to be known as Nebo and Balmeon. They renamed all those places. The clan of Machir from the tribe of East Manasseh went to the region of Gilead, captured its towns, and forced out the Amorites. So Moses gave the Machirites the region of Gilead, and they settled there. Jair from the Manasseh tribe captured villages and renamed them villages of Jair. Nobah captured the town of Kenath with its villages and renamed it Nobah. Joshua chapter 23. The Lord let Israel live in peace with its neighbors for a long time, and Joshua lived to a ripe old age. One day he called a meeting of the leaders of the tribes of Israel, including the old men, the judges, and the officials. Then he told them, "I am now very old. You have seen how your God fought for you and helped you defeat the nations who lived in this land. There are still some nations left, but the has promised you their land. So when you attack them, he will make them run away. I have already divided their land among your tribes, as I did with the land of the nations I defeated between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. Be sure that you carefully obey everything written in the book of the law of Moses and do exactly what it says. Don't have anything to do with the nations that live around you. Don't worship their gods or pray to their idols or make promises in the names of their gods. Be as faithful to thee as you have always been. When you attacked powerful nations, they made them run away, and no one has ever been able to stand up to you. Any one of you can defeat 1,000 enemy soldiers, because the God fights for you, just as he promised. Be sure to always love your God. Don't ever turn your backs on him by marrying people from the nations that are left in the land. Don't even make friends with them. I tell you that if you are friendly with those nations, they won't chase them away when you attack. Instead, they'll be like a trap for your feet, a whip on your back, and thorns in your eyes. And finally, none of you will be left in this good land that the has given you. I will soon die, as everyone must. But deep in your hearts you know that the has kept every promise he ever made to you. Not one of them has been broken. Yes, when the makes a promise, he does what he has promised. But when he makes a threat, he will also do what he has threatened. Thee is our God. He gave us this wonderful land and made an agreement with us that we would worship only him. But if you worship other gods, it will make thee furious. He will start getting rid of you, and soon not one of you will be left in this good land that he has given you. Judges chapter 2 verses 1 to 6. The Lord's angel went from Gilgal to Bochim and gave the Israelites this message from the Lord: I promised your ancestors that I would give this land to their families, and I brought your people here from Egypt. We made an agreement that I promised never to break, and you promised not to make any peace treaties with the other nations that live in the land. Besides that, you agreed to tear down the altars where they sacrificed to their idols. Why haven't you kept your promise? And so, I'll stop helping you defeat your enemies. Instead, they will be there to trap you into worshiping their idols. The Israelites started crying loudly, and they offered sacrifices to the Lord. From then on, they called that place Crying. After Joshua had dismissed the Israelites, they went to take possession of the land, each to their own inheritance.